So we have started working on the Redux part yesterday, and the website which we will be building is called the campaign management. After this campaign management, I will start with another website that will also go public, and the name of that will be script launch, something like that, script launch. So I will buy the domain, I will upload the code there, and it will be publicly available to everyone. So it will be the real website live on the public world. So now before starting the class, I will buy the domain, and I will show you, those who don't know, I will show you how to get the domain name and then how to put our website on the public world. So I will go to namecheap.com and I will buy a couple of domains because these two sites is coming soon. I'll be building these two websites after campaign management. I will build this one and both will go live. So we need the domain name. So for the campaign management campaign, I don't see it is available. This is a website where we can buy the domain. So campaign, we don't have any website available, domain name available. So we need to make some different name. Maybe I can have campaign ninja. Let's see if I can get something with this name. So if I see campaignninja.com already taken, let's see what else we can get. Maybe I can try campaignninja.us. Okay, so it's saying campaignninja.us is available. I will add this to cart. Okay, and I will also buy another one, scriptlance.us. This is also available. I will add to cart. And my cart is there. I'll go to cart. Okay, premium DNS. I don't need this one. Auto renew. Okay, I'm getting it for 1 year. I'll get $2.48. Okay, let me see if I have to take any other thing. Okay, nothing for now. I'll confirm my order. I have to put my username and password. I already have username and password. I'll just log in. Okay, they want to verify the code. Let me verify. Okay, code is this one. Okay, so first step in putting this domain on the public domain is to buy the domain name. So I bought two domain. One is this domain, and one is this domain. And just I will check out with PayPal. Okay. Everyone is asking the code today. Yes, I'll pay with my bank account. Okay, so I just bought these two. One is the Campaign Ninja and one is the Script Launch. Both the website we will build soon. Okay, so I just bought it, and I will show you once my website is ready. we will push that live. Okay, so right now just about it. Let me save somewhere the name of the domain name. Okay, so we are building two domains. One is campaign ninja.us and another one is scriptlance.us. Okay, so these two websites I will be building one by one after another. Okay, so let's close this one now, or we will open it. So yesterday we created this test action and test reducer. Hope everyone have practiced this reducer and the action. And if you have not done, you can watch yesterday's video and practice these two. Now remember, this is calling the async here, both the places. And because it is saying async, I am using try and catch block. But right now, it is not using any async action. Async means asynchronous call. We are not calling any server-side call. If we would have called server-side, async would have made sense. But right now, we're not calling any server-side code. Therefore, async is not needed in the current case. So for now, I will delete the async part, and I will just use this dispatch part. Same thing I will do for this one. But to keep the code, I will keep async in the decrement function. Because we need this template whenever we build the real code. So I don't want to delete the stuff. So let it be here. But for this, I am removing the async part. Okay. And I'm keeping just dispatch and dispatch increment. Since this is not having async, try and catch is not needed. And try and catch is generally needed when we have the async await code. Okay. That's why I removed it. Now let's try to finish the Redux part. We have created the reducer. There may be many reducers. Right now that we have only one reducer, test reducer. In future, we may have many reducers, which we will see. We will create one by one. And then this is the test action. Test action is having all the functions which will send the message, and this message is nothing but we will receive in the reducer. So for example, increment is there. In the test, we have the increment. Decrement is there. In the test action, we have decrement. We have the error counter, and we see the error counter here. So every time we create action, we have to dispatch something, and dispatch is absorbed or it is taken by reducer in the form of this switch statement, where we have the case, different case, increment, decrement, error counter. Remember, this increment and decrement should be unique. If you create any other reducer, don't try to make same name increment. This should be unique all over the reducers. Okay, so those who are new or those who have not set up the Git repository, I will help you after today's class to set up the Git repository. We just now registered the campaign ninja.us and scriptlance.us. These will be the websites which will go live in few days, and that's why I bought the domain. And let's go what we are doing here. And so yesterday we started with the Redux, and we are continuing the Redux study. And this is all the code which I have, and every student has to put their folder and their code inside here. Right now we see this many students have put it, and those who are new today, I will help you to put the folders in with your name in this Git repo. Okay, so we are making the sample of the Redux. This is a sample code, and when we go live, when we make a website, we will take use of these samples to understand how to create the real action and real reducer. So we have completed reducer and action. And what other things is needed? If we go to README, store, right? So I think I have written it here. Okay. So we have created root reducer, test reducer, test action. We need the store.js. So we will build the store.js, and then we will take use of the store.js to make it working in a working condition. So let's build the store.js now. Store.js is here. We will just build the store.js now. So first thing in the store.js, we need to You can also write down side by side as I'm writing, because these are the configuration we have to do one time. I'll just explain this. No need to remember everything. Just write it down and use it in the code. So we have to first import few things like create store, apply middleware, and compose from Redux. Since we are doing Redux, so we need to get some modules from the Redux. And what modules we need? Create store, apply middleware, compose from Redux. You can write down this statement as I am writing it, because you don't have to remember this thing. This is one-time installation, and once this is done, we will never touch this file again. And in interview also, or anywhere, you will not write it down from your memory. Okay, this is something you have to just get it from the documentation. So here in our case, we will be using couple of middlewares. What are exactly middlewares? Consider that middlewares are some functionalities which will help us in doing some of the stuffs. So these are the middlewares. So we can create our own middleware also, but we don't need to, because whatever is needed is already available in the documentation or in the internet. So we have to get couple of middlewares. One of the middlewares we have to get is called import Thunk from Redux Thunk. This Thunk helps us to do the Ajax call to the server. If we don't use it, we will not be able to do the Ajax call to the server. Next is import logger from Redux logger. This Redux logger will give us the information of all the variables in the Redux. And if we don't put it, we will not be able to see what are the variables in our Redux. When we go to production, we need to remove this line. Okay, we don't want this logger to be there on the production side. So either we write some code so that it should not be available on the production, or we will delete this code while we go to production. Now, next thing is we need to get the root reducer. Okay, root reducer, I haven't created it, but I will create it in a bit. So I will import root reducer from reducers, and inside reducers, root reducer. Okay, so we'll get the root reducer, and root reducer will have all the reducers in it. So we don't have to call specifically test reducer, test1 reducer, test2 reducer. We will call only root reducer, and root reducer will have track of all other reducers. So I will write down here so that you can remember. Root reducer will have track of all other reducers. Logger is to view the variables inside Redux, because we will be creating a lot of variables. To view the variables, what is the value in each variable, we need this Redux logger. And to call the Ajax call on server. So if we want to do any server call, we need the Redux Thunk. So you won't be able to see it, any of this thing, that how Redux Thunk is doing the Ajax call. It is done internally, so you won't be able to see that, but your Ajax will fail if you don't include it. Okay, so it does something behind the scenes. We just need to see what is the output. Now here I will create one function. Name of the function is configure store, equal to, it is an arrow function. Okay, so in this function, I will pass some state. I will name that state as pre-loaded state. Okay, so I will just pass this state in this. Let me see how I'm using it, this state. One second. Okay, so even if maybe I will pass null value in it, or I will not pass any value in it, but if I need to, I can pass the initial value here. But since we will be using a lot of reducers, so passing the initial value here doesn't make any sense, because uh, each each reducer may have own initial value like this. Okay, so but I am giving some provision here, but it is useless. It is not really needed, kind of thing. But if someone wants it, they can pass it. That's why I put it here. Now I will create one variable called as middlewares, and I will put all the middlewares here. So what are the middlewares here? We have the Thunk, and another one is the logger. So we have to put all the middlewares here in the array format. Now I have to enhance this middleware so that Redux can use it. What exactly enhance means we have to pass through one of the functions like this so that Redux can use it. So I will say middleware enhancer, and here I have to call this apply middleware, and inside apply middleware we have to pass this Thunk and logger. So this is the array, and it is assigned to this variable. So I can just use this variable here in the dot 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 format. So I'll say dot 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 middlewares. So these two are the middleware I took and put it in the variable, and then I apply it to this function because this is something how the Redux use it. How internally it is used, we don't worry about it. You can go inside this and check it, but no need to it for now. Then I will go to constant store enhancer. This is just a name given to enhance the store, and this will just take this enhancer but in the array format. So I will put it inside the array. So what store enhancer does, it takes whatever the value it is getting from here, it puts in the array format. That's it. Then we have another variable called as composed enhancer, and what it does, it takes the store enhancer and put it in the compose. This is the compose. So I'll say compose, and I'll pass dot 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 store enhancer. Okay, this all things I got from the documentation of the Redux, so you don't have to. I did not create this from my mind, so I just get copied from their documentation, and this is the way it has to be done. So there is no logic in it, but we need to pass things from one variable to another one, and another variable to another one, and another variable to another one, something like that. Now we will create a store which will take this create store. Create store has three parameters to be passed. One is called the root reducer, which reducer we are trying to use it. Second is what is the initial state. Right now it will be null. We are not passing any initial state. And third thing will be composed enhancer. This is the composed enhancer. And I have to return this store. Okay, so let's return the store. So I return the store here. That is what we complete this configure store. Now I will take this configure store and I will export it. So I'll say export default configure store. So we are exporting this configure store to another page. So another page will call the store and get the configure store in that page. So this completes our store.js. There will be few more middleware which we will use in future, but right now only these two are used. When I go to production, I will remove this logger. So I may write some code that if it is production version, just delete this logger here, don't use it. So I will do that later, not now. So before I finish this, copy this down or write it down if you have not written it. I'll give you 1 minute or 2 minutes to finish this. Okay, I hope everyone has completed this one. If you're not done, you can do it after the class. Okay. So this setting is done. We will never touch this file again now for the store. It is done one and for all for this website. Maybe if we create another website, then we'll copy this code from here. Next is we need to finish this root reducer. Root reducer is the place which will take care of all the other reducers. Right now we have one reducer, but in future we may have 10 reducer, 15 reducer. It will take care of all the reducers. So to do the root reducer, we will import combine reducers because we are combining many reducers in it. Even if it is one, we will use combine reducer because in future we may have more. From Redux, we will getting it from Redux combine reducer. Then we need to import all the reducers which we want to use. For example, test reducer from test reducer. Right now it is one, so I am importing only one. In future I will add more. Okay, add more reducers here. Okay, next will be I will create a function called as, or I will create a variable, not function. Name of it is root reducer, and it will take this combined reducers, and in the curly bracket it will take the object, and object is nothing but this reducer. Now either I can put some key, and I can put the value can be this test reducer, or I can keep the name same. Test reducer is equal to test reducer. Both of the way is correct. But since if I put key 1, I won't be able to know which reducer I am using it. So I will keep the key and value same. So test reducer is equal to test reducer. In ES6 version of JavaScript, if both key and value are with the same name, I can delete this value and it will assume that we are calling test reducer is equal to test reducer. So if I want to write test reducer is equal to test reducer, I can delete this value part. I can just put test reducer. It will automatically assume that I'm trying to do this thing. But this will only work if we have both the names same. So instead of writing this way, I will just put test reducer here so that it is, in writing it is less number of words. That is better, we should use less number of words. And in the end, I will just export this root reducer. And when we may have more reducers coming here, right now they are not there, but I'm just thinking if they are there, I will just append it here. So if we have test reducer 2, then I will append this test reducer 2 here. So all the reducers which I will import, I will add it here. Okay, that's what we have to do in future. Right now we have only one reducer, so I will delete these two parts. So before we go further, just finish this root reducer and then I will go further. I'll give you 1 minute to finish this one. Okay, so those who are new, they might not have this folder structure. So they can sit with me after today's class so that they can get the folder structure, and from tomorrow they can also write in front of me. And if you don't write in front of me, after the class you may not get time, or you may not get, you may be busy with your schedule, so you may skip the lesson and then you will lag behind. And after a few weeks, you will not understand anything. So you should be with the same pace as I am teaching. So you should be doing all the code in front of me. Some code are very big, so I will ask you to do after the class. When I commit the file, you can see my file and you can copy it in your folder structure. And never Never ever commit in my folder. You have to create your own folder and put it there. You can copy from my folder, but put it in your own folder. Okay, so this is something we finished the root reducer. We finished the test reducer. We finished the test action. So we are done with store.js. We are done with root reducer. We are done with test reducer. We are done with test action. Now the time is to use this store.js in our routing file. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. So I will open the routing file, and inside routing file we are going to routing 3, and here we will take use of the store. So after the layout call, I will import few lines. One is the import provider from React. Now we are in the React mode, so we will use React Redux. So we will call the provider, and then we will call import. We will call this from the store. We will call this configure store. So I'll say import configure store from. I'll go one level back. Then I will go to components. Then I will go to website 3. Then I will go inside the Redux. Then inside Redux I'll go to store. Okay, where my configure store is located. So I'll call this configure store function, which is created here in the store. Okay, let's now create a variable called as constant store equal to configure store, and I will not pass any initial state here. Though I have created initial state here, but I'm not passing it because I don't want to use any initial state, because all my initial state will be inside the reducers. So we don't need to put it here. If we have only one reducer, then we can put the initial state, but right now since we have many reducers, no need to put any initial state. So these are the 3 lines we have to put it in the routing 3.jsx. Just put these 3 lines in 1 minute, and then I will show you how to use store and provider. Okay, so let's go further now to use the provider and the store. So we have to wrap everything, this whole thing we have to wrap with this provider. So I will create one tag called as provider, and I will wrap everything inside the provider. And this provider needs one parameter called as store, and I will pass our store variable inside this store. So provider will have store is equal to store, and that is what we are done with the provider part. So provider part is also done. So just put just wrap your whole content with the provider with the store equal to store, and then we'll go further. We'll write the code to test these things. Provider is some kind of module or functionality which will take use of the store and which will maintain the state overall all over all our website. So just wrap this provider. So provider ends at the extreme bottom. Everything is wrapped inside the provider. So whatever we did, this files, all this is the configuration part, and this will not come inside our logic of writing our code. This is only the configuration part which we have to do one time. Though test reducer and test action we have to do multiple times like that. But other things like store, root reducer, and this calling the store, calling the provider is one time. Okay, so what we did, we created this file, and then what we did, we called provider and store in our routing part, and we wrapped everything inside the provider. So yesterday I explained you we need to create one component which will call as a function from the action like increment or decrement. When it calls, let's say, any function, this function will send the message with the type of increment, and this message will be captured in the reducer in this case statement, and then we do some logic here which will update the state, and once this state is updated, it will return back, and then we can see the new state, that is the new variable or the new value in our component. So that is how it works. Now I will create one test. I will create one test component to show you how it works. Though we need to put some code inside the test component to make this work. So this is my test component. I will go into the routing to use this test component. So my test component is inside Redux with the test name. So I will create one path for my test component. Here I will say test. So when I go to the URL, a test component will be called. Right now, I'm not using any Redux part. So let's see how it looks. Okay, let me start the server. Okay, 1 second. Let it come. 1 second. So right now I'll go to localhost and it is home 3, that is website 3, and then I'll go to test 1. So right now I have not put anything in the test component, so Redux is specifically not used, but I will now put some code so that I can test the Redux reducer and action and all the things I can test it. Okay, so let's try to do that part now. Okay, so first thing, so remember these things which will be whenever you want to use the Redux on the page, you have to follow these steps. Okay, so maybe let's say if you are using Redux in one of the file, there will be some 4 or 5 child components. You don't need to put Redux in all the child components. You need to put in the parent component. So there may be 5 or 6 parent component overall in a major website, which will have the Redux component inside it. So whenever you create a component and you want to use the Redux in that component, we have to follow these steps. And what are the steps? First line is we have to use the import and we have to use the connect. This connect will connect the Redux to this component from React Redux. So this is your first time doing the Redux. So do not worry, many of the things you will say, oh, what's happening? I will forget. Do not worry of this. When we will try to build it, we will copy the code and you will do 100 times these things and it will be easy for you after that. So first thing is we need to import the connect one from the React Redux. Then we need to import all the functions which we want to use in this page from the actions page. So generally we have to get all the functions which we want to use. Let's say this component using only increment, I will import only increment. But if it is using both the functions, then I will import both the functions. So let's import both the functions from our test action. Why I am calling this function? Because I have to call this function so that Redux can play with it. Redux can come into picture. So from where I am calling this function, functions from actions, and inside actions I have test action. Okay. Okay, so I'm explaining the Redux, but it will take time for you to remember everything, how the things work and how the things are doing. So just try to follow what I'm saying it. This is the first time, second, third time it will be very easy for you to understand it. Today is the first time. You need to just follow the steps which I'm showing you. You don't have to worry why it is coming there. And then once you practice more, you will like it. Now here I have to create two parts. Okay, one is called map state. You can name anything, but I will name it map state. This is nothing but an arrow function. And then you need to create another object, and this object is called actions. Now this object is called action, and this is called the map state. Now what we have to do, we have to connect map state with actions to this component. And how we are going to do it? We will go at the bottom. I will write down connect, and I will put the component name inside another parenthesis. So this is the connect, and then this is the component name. This is the component name. And in the connect, we will pass our first function map state, and second parameter as actions. So what it will do, it will take the map state and it will take the actions and it will attach to this component. So now after this line of statement, my component is tied to the Redux. Okay, just remember that it is tied to Redux. How it is remembered, how it is tied, we will see it in a bit. Now this actions, I need to create key value pair of actions. So I can put key 1 equal to my function 1, this one, and I can have key 2 as my decrement function. But I can also do, instead of key 1, I can also do increment function here, like increment function equal to increment function and decrement function equal to decrement function. And I can also do, since both are same name, I can skip this part. I can delete this part. So internally it will be like this, but visibly I will delete this, because in ES6, if both key and value are same, we can write only one and it will be assumed that it is both. For decrement also, I will delete this part. Okay, this is for explanation. So what I did, I created the action with all the functions which I want to use. So if there are 100 functions if I want to use, I will put all the 100 functions in this action. If you don't put all the functions here, then you won't be able to use the Redux for that function. So you need to put everything inside this action, and this action will go here in this connect part. Now let's talk about the map state. Map state will get one variable or parameter, or you can call attribute. You can name anything. I will put right now state. and I will return something here. Right now I'm returning empty object, but based on the state I will change this whatever I want to return it. Here I will check what is coming in the state. Okay, so the half of the work is done. Now I will run this file and I will see what state is coming here. Okay, and then we will talk about the actions also. 1 second, okay. So I'll refresh it. So as soon as I refresh it, you will see the state which I have written it here is having the test reducer, and the reducer is having the counter variable and the error. So it has all the variables which we created in the reducer. Where did we create test reducer? In the reducers folder. We have the test reducer, and the test reducer we have this key value pair, counter and error, and same thing which we are able to see in this state. We are able to see test reducer, then counter and error. Right now we have only one reducer. Tomorrow we may have 10 more reducers. So all will be appearing here, and we can use any of the reducer here in our code. Now it is up to me what I want to return it here. Okay, what I want to return here. Let's talk this about in 1 minute. Before going to this part, let's try to see what things are coming in the props for this test. I will do console.log props are props. So let's see what props are coming. I will refresh the page. Now I am seeing the props here. Now if you see history is generally there every time we have the props. We did last time also, last project also, we were getting history, location and match. So these things are already there in the props. The only thing which we see change is the increment function and decrement function which we created in the actions. Now if I want to use anything, either increment or decrement, I can just say props dot increment function like this. When I say props dot increment function invoke like this, it will call the increment function, okay, which is there in our actions file. So what we are seeing in the props, we are seeing decrement function, and we are seeing the increment function which are in the actions, and we can use it in our code base. I can call anytime increment function or decrement function. Now what about this test reducer? Let's try to get the test reducer also, because if something happens or something is changed in the counter, I want to see it here so that I can display it to the user. So let's pass this test reducer also in the props. So in the state part, when I am returning it, I will return test reducer is equal to state.testReducer, because we are getting the test reducer inside the state object. So if I want to return test reducer, I can return state.testReducer. Now if I refresh it in the props, you will see also I'm getting test reducer, and test reducer also has counter and error equal to null. So if I want to display counter or error on the page, I can go to the test reducer inside the props, and I can go to the counter or error to display that to the user. If I don't want to see the test reducer, I can also do this like this. I can pass the counter directly, and I can say state.testReducer.counter, because we have the counter inside it. So now if I refresh the page, in the props, I'm getting the counter equal to 0, which is nothing but this value. I can also pass another parameter called as error. I can say state.testReducer.error. Okay, I can do that also. If I refresh now, you will see error is also here. So either I can show counter to the user, I can show error to the user, and I can decrement the function or I can increment the function. Or I can pass directly test reducer, and then I can get the test reducer from it. Now I will do some more changes in this page, but before I do, just write down this test.jsx and then we will go from there. I will explain this test.jsx again after you complete writing this. I will explain it again.
What time does this place go to?
So those who are new, I will, after the class, I will help you to set up this folder structure so that you can also be with the same as other people are there. So you can see my code also and you can push your code also. Everyone has to create his own folder and commit the code inside it. So once uh, once the class is over, I will explain you how to create this folder structure. But I also recommend you to go through my past videos. There are 113 videos till now, but you can start with the December 1 part, this Gitlab. From 100 number, go through all the videos. In that way, you will understand how this folder structure was created. Okay, how this folder. So if you have any question, you can ask. Those who are new, you can ask questions if you want to know more things. And if it is your first day, it will take few days for you to understand what things are going on right now. Okay, because though the project is new, but I have already completed the React part. I have already explained how the React works. So you have to go through past videos to understand the React. We are directly now doing the project. So it may take time to understand everything.
Is he done?
So Janet, you were asking something?
No, everything's fine. I have to learn this. I have to go to your GitLab and learn the past lessons. This is new to me.
Okay, so if you're new, you have to go through all these 100 videos when you get time. But though in the top there are a lot of basic things, but the React project, the new project which we started, project 1, it was on December 1st, okay, at the 100 number. And we completed 2 projects. Yesterday I started the 3rd project. So that's what we have started now. So if you go through from lesson 100 now, at least you will understand how we have set up the structure, and then in few days you will catch up with other people.
Okay, good.
Okay, once you're done with this one, let me know. I will explain this again and we will use it in practical how to see how the Redux is working. Okay, done. So later the two, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, MB Hekini, what is your name? I see MB Hekini. Okay, so you asked one question, what is this project about? Okay, so to answer this question, we are doing this class since July. Okay, so there are hundreds of lectures are already done. And I started building the project from the lesson number 100. So if you're new, I would suggest to start from lesson 100 and go through it. And then later when you get time, you can go through all the videos. So we completed already 2 of the simple learning websites. Now yesterday I started building the website. It's called the campaign management. So we will building a campaign management and it will go live in few days once we complete it. And it is something a person can create his campaign and other members can join his campaign and lot of interactions will happen in the campaign management. That is what the project about. We just now bought domain also. So in the this campaign ninja.us will be the domain where I will host our website. And we just now registered the domain also for this one. And we will also build another project, script plans, in few days. So I just bought the 2 domains. Okay, let's see now again. Okay, so let me explain you this again, the Redux part. Those who have not understood or those who have understood but they want to understand it again. So generally what we are trying to do now, we create a component where we want to use Redux. So Redux has two parts. One is called the reducer, where we have all the variables, and another one is action, where we put the logic to change the variables. Okay, so this is the action or functions to where we put our logic to change the state variables. Since React is the single page application, so we need a mechanism where we can save all the data in the variable, and when one user will go from one page to another page, we should be able to access the data which is saved in the previous page. So that is what we are trying to do. So we should be able to capture the reducer part and action part in my component. So to connect this reducer action with the component, we first import this line connect part from the React Redux. So we import following module to connect reducer action with component. So this is the part we imported. And if you see the last statement, this last statement is connecting reducer action with the component. Okay, so Ashok, and then I will come back to you later. Okay, now wait 1 minute. Okay, so once we import it, we have to connect all the three together. So this is the reducer part, this is the action part, and this is the component. So we are connecting all three like this. Next thing is we need to call all the functions which I want to use. So import all the functions which I want to use on this page. Like this. So right now I have 2 functions. Tomorrow I may have 100 functions. I will import all the 100 functions here. Next is I will create 2 variables. One is the function called as map state. Next is to use reducer, we will create map state function. Map state function will get the state variable which has all the variables in our Redux state. Redux has the state, so we have all the variables in the Redux state in the state variable. So right now we have the one reducer, we may have 100 reducer in future, everything will be inside the state. And whatever I want to use in the page, I will return that. So for this page, I will return counter and error only, which are inside the state, test reducer, and counter. So we will say state.tasteReducer.counter will assign to the counter, and state.tasteReducer.error will assign to error. So the current page will only be able to access counter and error. If there are other variables inside test reducer, we will not be able to access it because we don't need it and we have not created any output for that one. This is the only variable which we have to pass here, state. Okay, if you see documentation, there may be some more parameters, but those are not needed. Only thing we need is the state. This will come state from the Redux. The Redux will send the state here and we will return it here. And when we return it here, it will go to the props. It will be inside the props. So when I did console.log of props, you will see I was able to get the counter and error also. So we will create one object called as action. Now create an object called as action, and it will have all the functions from test action file. There may be other file also, but right now since we're using test action file, so it should have all the functions for it. And this should be the key value pair. But since key and value are same, I made it only one. Otherwise, if key and value are different, I can keep the key different also. I can say K1 or K2, then I can use it as K1 or K2. But if I want to use as increment Fn and decrement Fn, then I can keep the name same. So it is a key value pair. In reality, it is nothing but increment Fn equal to increment Fn, decrement Fn equal to decrement Fn. Since ES6 version of JavaScript says if key and value are same, we can skip this part. Okay, right now I'm keeping it here, but we can skip it. And now this function, this counter, this error, everything will be available. So now counter, error, increment function, decrement function will all be available inside our component in the form of props. So everything which you see here will be available inside this component in the form of props. So I can call this function, or I can get the value of this or this using the props. Now let me answer your question. We can also send data from props. Why using Redux? Okay, so you can send data from the props. When you create a component, you can send the data in the form of the props. But consider you're calling this test component. Okay, you're calling this test component, but data should come from some other component. You have the test one. Okay, let me explain you this one. Okay, so you have, let's say, test component. You are calling test one component. So you can pass data from test component to test one component in the form of props. So data comes here in the form of props. So this test component is calling test one component. So I can pass data from this component to this one. But consider this, we have some data in another page or navigation, top navigation. We have some data created here. And this test component does not know this navigation. So if you want to access this data inside the test component, you cannot access it. So to access it, you will put this data in the Redux. And here you will get the data from the Redux. That way, the data created here can be used it here. Okay, that's why Redux is. Yes, so this Redux data is globally available for all the components, so we can use it anywhere. Okay, so let's finish this one. So any doubt in this creation of the component, how to call the Redux part? Any problem in understanding this point? Okay, if you have not understood, you can watch the video after the class and go through it again and again. Let's try to use this everything in reality, in real world. Now this is my test component, and I will create two buttons here. One button is called increment, and another button will be called as decrement. And I want to see the counter variable. So here I will say counter variable is, so since counter is coming from the state, and here it is coming from in the form of the props, so I can say props dot counter. So that will show the variable which we pass from the Redux or from this reducer to this component. So I can show the counter here as like this. Since this may not have the error, so right now I will not give you any demonstration on error today. Let's do only demonstration of the counter. Okay. So now when increment is called, I will say on click of the increment, what should I call? Can anyone tell me? On click of the increment, what should I call? And on click of the decrement, what should I call? Can anyone tell me? Action, but which action? Props.increment. Kate is right. Props.increment. So we need to call the increment function, and increment function is inside the props. So we have to call props.increment function. We have to initiate this function. And when I want to call the decrement, what should I call? Props.decrement. So I can say props.decrement function, because all the action parts are inside the props. Therefore, to call increment on decrement, we need to put inside the button. Okay, now we will test this condition and see how the variables is updated in the reducer and how we are seeing it. Okay, let's test the condition now. So this is my test page. Okay, I will click the increment now. So as soon as I click increment, if I go inside the props, I see the counter has become 1. Let's try to click increment again. And if you go in the props, counter is updated to 2. So we are able to see 2. So everything is updated in the state. If I decrease, the counter is decreasing to 1 to 0. Now main thing which you want to see here is, as soon as I click increment, you will see this logs is coming. This logs is coming because we have included one middleware. If you remember, middleware which we have used is this logger. And because of this logger, I am able to see this thing. And let me explain you what is this thing. It is saying which action is called increment. It is saying when this action is called, what type of object we have passed. So if you see my test action file, I am passing type equal to increment, and that is why I am able to see type equal to increment. So it is saying that when the function is called, we dispatch this part. And it is also saying what was the previous state of test reducer. Previous state was counter equal to 2. But when I call this type equal to increment, the next state becomes counter equal to 3. So this is the previous state, this is the new state. So we are able to see all the things here in this logger. Okay, so this again I click increment, what it will do? It will go to the actions increment function. It will dispatch this message, and this message will be captured in this test reducer in this part. And we are updating the state variable with the previous value of the counter plus 1. And in the decrement, we are saying previous value of the counter minus 1. And we are returning the state. And this return state will come back here in the map state. And it will update the counter and it will update the error. So that's why we are able to see the new value here, props.counter, whenever we update there. So we are able to achieve the same thing. If you remember, we did same thing using the use state some time back. But use state is only local to that component. It was not taking the use of Redux. Redux is saving the state in the global space, and we can use it in any component. So if we want to do something which can be used globally, we will put in the Redux state. But if we feel that something is to be used only in this component, then we will take use of use state. So we can use both the things, use state or Redux whenever we want and however we want. Yes, Redux is centralized state management where all the variables are saved in the central place and it can be used in any component we want. And the variables saved in one component can be used in another component without calling another component with the props. So all the variables are stored in this global state variable. Okay, before I close with this, just finish this part. You have completed this part. Just put this part, and we will do some cleanup of this component, and then we are done for today. So Ananya has asked a question: add to cart in shopping web. We can use Redux. So we can use Redux for that purpose. We can put the products in the cart or in the Redux and can be used to display it in the cart. But if you look at the Amazon, if you put things in the cart, you can, and if you log in through mobile also, you will be able to see those items. And if you put something in the Redux and if you refresh the page, everything is gone. You will not able to see it. You can see the variable value when you are on the page only and when you go from one page to another without refreshing the page. Just travel from one page to another. If you refresh the page, all the things in the Redux is gone and you will not be able to see it. So for the cart, though you can put in the Redux, though we will put in the Redux also, but we have to save in some database so that user can log in from mobile or computer or another mobile, and if he is the same user, he should be able to see the same cart. So we should also save in the database in addition to the Redux.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hope everyone has completed this thing. So I would suggest go through all this file again, reducer, action, and store is one time, but you can write it down, no need to remember, but reducer and action are important. And this test component, which will take use of the Redux in practical way. Now let's try to clean up little bit here. So we get this increment function in the props. So rather than putting the props here directly, we will put the object like this, and we will try to put whatever we are using it here, we will put in that in the object. And then we can use of those things which are only passed it here. So we don't need to put it in the props, everything, and we'll remove the props part. So directly we are using the variable name from here. That way we know what variables we are expecting for this component. We should not, because props may have thousands of more variables. I don't want to put everything here, and I am confused which one I'm using it here. So whatever I'm using it here, I will just pass those one, and I will test this condition again. Okay, increment, decrement, increment, 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 decrement, 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 increment, increment, increment. Okay. Okay, so we are done with the Redux one. Let's brainstorm a little bit more on our project, and then we'll close it. Okay, I will commit the code. You can test, check the code. Okay, store.jx. Okay, let me commit the code. Okay, we will brainstorm tomorrow. Let me help. Uh, First, let me ask. I will name the student and I will ask the question. You have to answer in chat, or you can speak also. So Ananya, I assigned you this one, right? Have you created the folder? Are you able to do the git clone of the direct project structure or no, or of the repo? Ananya, so you answer me this one. Let me. Ananya has put it here. So Ananya, you have put only one file. I would expect you to create the React folder, create the master folder, and follow the video and do all the stuffs there. Is that clear, Ananya? Okay, so try to follow the video, and you should be Yeah, okay. So you should be done with all the folders. Okay, Anshi, you have not created this GitLab account. When will you create it? Because if you don't create now, after many days, you will be lost. Okay, next is Ashok Kumar, Kate, I did Lakshmi, Murali. Have you created GitLab account? So you have to create the GitLab account and give me your user ID so I can add you in my repo and then you can download the code. Okay, Lakshmi, you're not answering, but I just told you.
Oh, okay, sir.
So create a GitLab account. Do you have a GitLab account?
No, sir. I will join today only.
Okay, so create the GitLab account. Tomorrow
Okay,
I will
sir.
help you. Tomorrow I will help you how to set up the things.
Okay, sir.
And give me your username in the Telegram chat group. If you have my Telegram one, just give me there your username.
Okay, sir.
Okay, next is MB Hackney. I don't know it's a real name or what. What about you? Have you created this GitLab account? Okay, no answer from. So if you go to test reducer, you should see I'm exporting it. Are you exporting it, Ashok? And I see others all have the GitLab account. Okay. So Ashok, are you exporting? So export it. Okay, that's all. Let's do 5 minutes brainstorm of our project. Okay. So what things we will try to do in our campaign management? So let's try to start thinking on that one. So the campaign management is something, where I will create a campaign, any campaign. Maybe I can say abortion law should be banned. Okay. Abortion should be banned. Okay, just a simple. I'm just giving the name. Abortion should be banned. So this is one campaign. You can put anything. I just take an example. So once a campaign is created, you are the owner of this campaign, and you will do many things to make your campaign work. People should know what you are trying to convey the message. Here in this campaign, you are trying to convey this message and you need the users. So you will invite other users to your campaign so that they can also share their views. They can also participate in what your campaign is about. We will do a lot of things in each campaign, but first step is we need to create the campaign. So what page we will create? We will create one page called as campaign or I can create a folder because my campaign has many modules. It may have the chat module, it may have the message module, it may have groups module, many things will come in future. So maybe I will create a folder called as campaign and inside that I will create a file called as create.jsx. So right now I'm only talking about the first step which you will do. We have to do a lot of things, but I'm not putting that thing here. So this is the first thing we have to do, that we have to write a create form and we have to take the information from the users that what kind of campaign he wants to run. Okay, so this is the first step we will do. So one of you tomorrow will create this file. Okay, I will name it tomorrow. I will give the name of the person who will do tomorrow, because every person will touch different file, and then I will do all the steps together so that everyone should know how to do the things. But I will ask, for example, Swati to do this, or I can ask Kate to do this, and you do as per your knowledge, and then I will correct it. You have to try to do the things, then I will correct you what is the right thing, what wrong thing you have done it. So this is the first step we will do, the create.jsx. So we will brainstorm tomorrow before you start what fields you want to put in this one, what table name you want to put it, what will be the ACL. So we will brainstorm tomorrow this thing, and then you can build on top of this. Once the campaign is created, owner of the campaign can also edit it. So we should have some edit page also. Owner of the campaign should delete the campaign. So we should have delete page also. Okay. Next thing, what we need to build in this one. Okay. These are the three things I will talk today. I don't want to jump in too much in one day. So tomorrow I will also, because I will see how many are there, and then I will create those many pages. And everyone has to work only in the page which I will assign. Okay. Do not jump to work on edit if I give you the create job. Okay, and everyone knows how to do the create form, edit form, and delete form. Edit form maybe you may not know, but once you will start doing, I will help you to do this one. Most of the things in this campaign management will be done by you, because I already explained you how to do the things. Only thing you have to implement it, and I will guide you the whole process. And then after you're done, I will do that and correct it if you have done any mistakes. Okay, so tomorrow we will concentrate on this part, and maybe more, because I will give each one different task. So we will be doing a lot of tasks tomorrow. So make sure you are ready for that one. You should be updated with this folder structure. So those who are new, like Lakshmi, tomorrow join 15 minutes early. I will help you in setting up this thing.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.